Session 33 Origins and Related Words. 1. Eat, drink, and be merry. The Latin verb vivo, to live, and the noun vita, life, are the source of a number of important English words. Convivo is the Latin verb to live together. From this, in Latin, was formed the noun convivium. Don't get impatient, we'll be back to English directly, which meant a feast or banquet, and from convivium we get our English word convivial, an adjective that describes the kind of person who likes to attend feasts and banquets, enjoying, and supplying, the jovial good fellowship characteristic of such gatherings. Using the suffix ity, can you write the noun form of the adjective convivial? Can you pronounce it? 2. Living it up among many others. The following English words derive from Latin vivo, to live. 1. Vivacious, full of the joy of living, animated, peppy, a vivacious personality. Noun, vivacity. You can, as you know, also add ness to any adjective to form a noun. Write the alternate noun form of vivacious. 2. Vivid, possessing the freshness of life, strong, sharp, a vivid imagination, a vivid color. Add ness to form the noun. 3. Revive, bring back to life. In the 1960s, men's fashions of the 20s were revived. Noun, revival. 4. Vivisection, operating on a live animal. Sect is from a Latin verb meaning to cut. Vivisection is the process of experimenting on live animals to discover causes and cures of disease. Antivivisectionists object to the procedure, though many of our most important medical discoveries were made through vivisection. 5. Viviparous, producing live babies. Human beings and most other mammals are viviparous. Viviparous is contrasted to oviparous, producing young from eggs. Most fish, fowl, and other lower forms of life are oviparous. The combining root in both these adjectives is Latin perio, to give birth. Parent comes from the same root. In oviparous, the first two syllables derive from Latin ovum, egg. Ovum, egg, is the source of oval and ovoid, egg-shaped, ovulate, to release an egg from the ovary. Ovum, the female germ cell which, when fertilized by a sperm, develops into an embryo, then into a fetus, and finally, in about 280 days in the case of humans, is born as an infant. The adjective form of ovary is ovarian, of fetus, fetal. Can you write the noun form of the verb ovulate? Love, you may or may not be surprised to hear, also comes from ovum. No, not the kind of love you're thinking of. Latin ovum became off in French, or with the preceding the noun, the egg, vof, pronounced something like LF0, picture it for a moment, is shaped like an egg, so if your score in tennis is 15, and your opponent's is 0, you shout triumphantly, 15 love. Let's go. 3. More about life. Latin vita, life, is the origin of 1. Vital, essential to life, of crucial importance, a vital matter, also full of life, strength, vigor, etc. Add the suffix ity to form the noun, add a verb suffix to construct the verb, meaning, to give life to. Finally, write the noun derived from the verb you have constructed. 2. Revitalize is constructed from the prefix re, again, back, the root vita, and the verb suffix. Meaning? Can you write the noun formed from this verb? 3. The prefix de has a number of meanings, one of which is essentially negative, as in defrost, decompose, declassify, etc. Using this prefix, can you write a verb meaning to rob of life, to take life from? Now write the noun form of this verb. 4. Vitamin, one of the many nutritional elements on which life is dependent. Good eyesight requires vitamin A, found, for example, in carrots. Strong bones need vitamin D, found in sunlight and cod liver oil, etc. Vitalize, revitalize, and devitalize are used figuratively. For example, a program or plan is vitalized, revitalized, or devitalized according to how it's handled. 4. French life. Sometimes, instead of getting our English words directly from Latin, we work through one of the Latin-derived or Romance languages. As you will recall, the Romance languages, French, Spanish, Italian, Portuguese, and Romanian, are so called because they were originally dialects of the Old Roman tongue. English, by the way, is not a Romance language, but a Teutonic one. Our tongue is a development of a German dialect imposed on the natives of Britain by the Angles, Saxons, and Jutes of early English history. Though we have taken over into English more than 50% of the Latin vocabulary and almost 30% of the classical Greek vocabulary as roots and prefixes, our basic language is nevertheless German. The French, using the same Latin root vivo, to live, form two expressive phrases much used in English. French pronunciation is, of course, tricky, and if you are not at least superficially acquainted with that language, your pronunciation may sound a bit awkward to the sophisticated ear, but try it anyway. These phrases are: 1. Joie de vivre, pronounced something like joie de vivre, zh is identical in sound to the s of pleasure. Literally joy of living, this phrase describes an immense delight in being alive, an effervescent keenness for all the daily activities that human beings indulge in. People who possess joie de vivre are never moody, depressed, bored, or apathetic. On the contrary, they are full of sparkle, eager to engage in all group activities, and, most important, always seem to be having a good time, no matter what they are doing. Joie de vivre is precisely the opposite of ennui. This is also a word of French origin, but is easy to pronounce, ennui, which is a feeling of boredom, discontent, or weariness resulting sometimes from having a jaded, over-sophisticated appetite, sometimes from just finding all of life tedious and unappetizing, and sometimes implying in addition physical lassitude and general inactivity. Young children and simple people rarely experience ennui. To them life is always exciting, always new. 2. Bon vivant, pronounced something like bon vivant, the ng, a muted nasal, sounds similar to the ing in sing. A bon vivant is a person who lives luxuriously, especially in respect to rich food, good liquor, expensive theater parties, operas, and other accoutrements of upper-class life. Bon vivant means, literally, a good liver, actually, a high liver, one who lives a luxurious life. When you think of a bon vivant, usually, language being sexist, a male, you get the picture of someone attired in top hat, soup and fish or tuxedo, raising his cane to call a taxi while a beautiful, evening-gowned and sophisticated-looking woman, sparkling in diamonds and furs, waits at his side. They're going to a champagne and partridge supper at an outrageously expensive restaurant, etc. Fill in your own details of the high life. The bon vivant is of course a convivial person, and also likely to be a gourmet, another word from French. 5. Food and how to enjoy it. The gourmand enjoys food with a sensual pleasure. To gourmands, the high spots of the day are the times for breakfast, lunch, dinner, and midnight supper. In short, they like to eat, but the eating must be good. The verb form, gourmandize, however, has suffered a degeneration in meaning. It signifies to stuff oneself like a pig. A gourmand is significantly different from a gourmet, who has also a keen interest in food and liquor, but is much more fastidious, is more of a connoisseur, has a most discerning palate for delicate tastes, flavors, and differences, goes in for rare delicacies, like hummingbirds' tongues and other such absurdities, and approaches the whole business from a scientific, as well as a sensual, viewpoint. Gourmet is always a complimentary term, gourmand somewhat less so. The person who eats voraciously, with no discernment whatever, but merely for the purpose of stuffing himself, I know I haven't had enough to eat till I feel sick, is called a glutton, obviously a highly derogatory term. The verb gluttonize is stronger than gourmandize. The adjective gluttonous is about the strongest epithet you can apply to someone whose voracious eating habits you find repulsive. Someone who has a voracious, insatiable appetite for money, sex, punishment, etc. is also called a glutton. Review of etymology. Prefix, root, suffix meaning 1. Vivo, to live 2. Us, adjective, suffix 3. Re, again, back 4. Sectus, cut 5. Anti, against 6. Ovum, egg 7. Perio, to give birth, produce 8. Vita, life 9. Is, verb, suffix 10. Ation, noun, suffix added to verbs ending in is 11. De, negative, prefix 12. Bon, good 13. 8, verb, suffix.